Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel with a new Transformers review. This time we're going to go a bit back, a couple of years to 2020 to look at the Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Trilogy Deluxe Class Airazor. Now, this is a figure I got off a discount a while ago in a clearance store, and they had a ton of these War for Cybertron figures there, but I only had enough to get Airazor. But first off, let's look at the packaging. Here's the box, and something I find interesting about these War for Cybertron figures in comparison to what we see nowadays is that it uses this sort of plastic, I guess, sort of like cover, which makes the figure look a lot nicer. Then we get an awesome render of Airazor in both the Beast mode and the Robot mode. Really awesome artwork. I really like the kind of look that these War for Cybertron boxes have. Airazor transforms in 22 steps, and something interesting about these renders is that all the parts that are colored orange and gold in the figure are colored yellow. I wonder what's up with that, but let's take a look at Airazor. And here is the War for Cybertron Kingdom Airazor. Now, first thing I want to mention with this Airazor is that she's based off of the Beast Wars design. So this is basically like the equivalent of the G1 Airazor. And that's something interesting about these War for Cybertron figures, is that they were the Maximals in the line, even the Predacons in the line, were based upon the Beast Wars designs. Well, as for now, of course, most people, including myself, discovered the Maximals because of Transformers Rise of the Beasts, the newest movie. And that's also why I picked up this Airazor, because before I saw the movie Airazor, I found this one in stores. I thought, oh cool, the Transformer that's gonna be here in the next movie, and that's why I got her. And I actually got her for a really great price. Since this is a deluxe class, she was originally $25, but I got her for $10. And again, a lot of those War for Cybertron figures were also discount. And the only other, like, super common figure that was there was a character called Black Arachnia, something like that. I believe she's a Predacon, but I didn't buy her just because I don't like spiders, but, well, apart from her, then the only other character was Airazor. So, I had to get Airazor. And something else is that I could have gotten the War for Cybertron Kingdom Rhinox instead of Airazor, but I preferred Airazor. I think it was a good decision, because I started to look up some reviews for that version of Rhinox, and I know that transformation looks super frustrating. But before we continue about Airazor, I just want to mention that these figures, I'm not sure if it's something that all of them had, but there's something that came packaged with mine, is a card. This is a really cool card. You can see the really cool colors. It's of Megatron, and I like how I mentioned here Decepticons, Kingdom War for Cybertron Trilogy. Really awesome render of Megatron. And look at the back. Really awesome artwork. You can see there, she was made 2020. Maybe because of the figure being made in 2020 was because of why it ended up at that discount store. Because, of course, we know the pandemic struck in 2020. I'm pretty sure back then the whole world crisis caused these figures to sell poorly because people were definitely not worried about buying Transformers because of the pandemic. So, maybe stores just couldn't sell them because of the moment, so right after they could open and start selling non-essential stuff like toys, maybe they felt like these were too old and people weren't going to be interested in buying them. That's why they all ended in that store. But overall, this was a pretty fantastic buy. But let's take a look closer at Airazor. A really awesome face sculpt. And something else I find interesting about the original Maximals was the fact that most of them had their animal head, the Beast mode head, attached to some part of their Robot mode. Such as here Airazor, who has the Falcon head on her torso. Same thing with Cheetor, and Rhinox had the Rhino head slapped on his back. This is something that for Transformers Rise of the Beasts, they were thankfully able to remove for the most part, with the only exception being Airazor in terms of the figures, but the design is pretty accurate to what we saw in the movie. There you can see in her arm, there's the printed Maximal logo, her weapons. And here at the back, the wings, and something else I really like is the texturing they add to wings, like the different kind of plastic, because something different that truly differentiates the Beast Wars Maximals to the Rise of the Beasts animals is that in the original cartoon, they were meant to be sort of realistic-ish animals. Of course, with the way that the animation has aged, of course, it looks hilariously bad with the CGI, with the super early CGI, with the 3D animation not really being Toy Story level at that moment, but even with the future iterations, these are meant to be more realistic looking animals, whereas for Rise of the Beasts, since, they're robots, they decided to do the beast mode more robot-like. And overall, she looks pretty awesome, but now let's take a look at her articulation. For starters, she has a ball joint here at the head, so she can look up and down, side to side. Something else I really like of her design is the way that her head is designed. Kind of reminds me of like an Aztec warrior, the kind of falcon-looking helmets. You can see here the arm joint, an elbow joint, and even, I wouldn't say wrist joint. The hand just moves like this, but that's mainly because of the transformation. She also has a waist joint, also for transformation. She has knee joints, which you'll have to pay attention to this part for the transformation. She can kick like this. She also has, I'm not really sure, I guess we could call it an ankle pivot. I'm not entirely sure which joint we could call this. This also will be for transformation. And the foot is also on the ball joint. And it's going to be, again, very important for transformation. But my personal favorite articulation point of this Airazor is in her back, because apart from the tail being very articulated, the wings are super awesome. I love the sort of hinges they're on, and you can see they're a pretty impressive wingspan. That is super awesome, and it's something that looks just as fantastic on the robot mode as well as the beast mode. I really like the look Airazor has with these wings. I just love the look, and that's it for articulation. Let's take a look at some size comparison. But I almost forgot about the accessories. Now, the figure has these sort of rockets, not sure what we could call them, maybe missiles, which are attached here at the arms. As you can see there, they're identical to each other. And something I find interesting is that you actually have to remove these in order to transform Airazor to the Beast mode. I'm going to showcase that in a moment, but they'll eventually end up here at the legs. And you can even attach them here at the hands. I believe this is something that Airazor never uses in Beast Wars, but you can do that. But of course, they're meant to be attached here to the arms. And now, let's do some size comparisons. First off, here we have the War for Cybertron Kingdom Airazor next to the Transformers, the movie 86 Studio Series RC. And I wanted to do this scale first, because this is like the main female Maximal next to the main female Autobot. And I think it's really cool just seeing how these female characters have become just as important as all the other male characters. But it's really cool just seeing, like, the main female Transformers next to each other. And now let's do some other size comparisons. Also, you can expect someday a review for the 86 RC. Let me know in the comments if you watch that. Here is the Airazor next to the Transformers Rest of the Beasts Core Class RC, just to showcase the height comparison. The Deluxe Class Rest of the Beasts Bumblebee. The War from the Siege, War for Cybertron Kingdom / Coronation Starscream. And I thought this be another interesting comparison, since this Coronation Starscream is a repackaged / super slight retool to the Siege Starscream, and I just thought it'd be interesting to compare these, because these were meant to be on scale back in their moment. And of course, Starscream did not change in the height, so they're the same scale, and I just want to showcase how they look next to each other. Here's Airazor next to the Core Class Dinobot Scar, which I just want to bring out here because the video I just recently made, a couple of hours after this Airazor video, is one of the most viewed videos on this channel. By the time I'm recording this, 33 views. It makes it the third most viewed video on this channel. So I just want to thank everyone who saw the video, hopefully watching this one. And I'm really surprised by this. I'm pretty sure this Airazor video will not go as far as with Dinobot Scar, but I thought it'd be interesting comparison for those who didn't watch that one. And here's Airazor next to the Transformers vs. the Beasts mainline Optimus Prime. Now let's do some non-Transformers comparisons. Here is Airazor next to the Jakks Pacific 4-inch Sonic. Until this point, the second most viewed video on the channel. So again, I also want to thank everyone who saw that Sonic video. The Moose Toys, Space Jam New Legacy, Bugs Bunny, and Lola Bunny. And finally, here's Airazor next to the Marvel Legends Star-Lord and She-Hulk. Expect a Star-Lord video very soon. But now that we're done with the size comparisons, let's go to the transformation. Now, starting off with Airazor's transformation, as I mentioned before, you'll have to remove these pieces. You'll see them later on. Now, something I want to mention about this Airazor's transformation is that this is actually the exact same transformation as the Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Airazor. So it's basically the exact same, with the only difference that for the new one you don't have to remove the arm missiles. But apart from that, what you're seeing right now is the exact same transformation that you'll go through with the Studio Series one. So if you're looking for a movie-ish Airazor, and you don't really care much about this realistic looking Falcon mode, which you'll see in a moment, I'd suggest looking for the mainline one, which is usually on a 3-pack, I believe, with the mainline Bumblebee and Mirage, which sadly Mirage is an unlicensed vehicle, and I really want that Studio Series one. But focusing here on the War for Cybertron Kingdom Airazor, there she is, almost completely finished. I'll just have to bring in those missiles, as I mentioned previously. As you can see here, the sort of ports she has on her legs. You'll attach those. Some people call this parts warming, where you have to remove pieces of a transformer to have the vehicle, or in this case the beast mode there. But finally, there she is. Here we have the War for Cybertron Kingdom Airazor, and this is a pretty awesome looking Falcon mode. Now, it's not perfect. You can see here on the torso section how the head is like this, and you can truly see the sort of compromises there, but it's a really cool looking beast mode. Now, first off with the face, I really like that face sculpt. It definitely looks like a more realistic bird, which again is something that they discarded for Rise of the Beasts, where those are definitely mechanized animals. But the face sculpt looks pretty awesome. You can kind of see the seam line over there, but the paint job is really well done. And something else I want to mention, I'll also talk on the articulation here, that actually you press this part down of the beak, it actually opens the mouth, and that is super awesome. Like, I was shocked when I discovered that on this figure. I did not pay any attention to the articulation of the mouth until I just actually touched it and like, what, does this piece move? And it's articulated, so that's super awesome. You can definitely put it in this sort of pose, this bird-like pose. And as I mentioned with her wingspan, it's pretty large. Now, the Studio Series is larger, but as you can see, a pretty impressive wingspan. And you can also see that the wings are articulated, so you can also position them the way you like. Personally, I like it. I like to have Airazor have her all open like this, like a gliding look, and look at like this. It's super awesome. The tail can sort of lift up and down, but it sort of clicks here into place. Here in the back, you can definitely notice on the robot mode, but overall, this is a super awesome beast mode. Now, I'm not going to showcase all the same comparisons I just showed right now in the vehicle mode comparison. I'm just going to show them again with the robot mode, because to me that's the most important mode in this case, because with these Maximals, or if I had any Predacons with the Predacons, to me it's a lot easier to get a sense of scale with the robot mode. So let's have Beast Mode Airazor next to some other Transformers. Here is the Beast Mode Airazor next to all the other Transformers I showcased. Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Dinobot Scar, 86 RC, Rise of the Beasts RC, and Coronation Starscream. Without the coordination gear. And this is a pretty massive bird. In comparison, like, you can see the wingspan, how massive it is. And to me, that's really what makes this figure very impressive in that regard. But now that we took a look at Airazor alongside Transformers, let's bring again all the non-Transformers figures we saw before. Here is Airazor again next to She-Hulk, Star-Lord, Sonic, Bugs Bunny, and Lola Bunny, and yeah, a pretty massive bird mode. But now we took a look at these, let's take a look at one more comparison, which I forgot to do in the robot mode. Here is Airazor next to the only Maximal, or I guess sort of Maximal I have in my collection, that being the Weaponizer Rhinox. And yeah, this is meant to be a weapon, which I'll do a video on someday. But this is super hilarious scaling, and I really want the Rise of the Beasts the Rhinox, the Voyager class Rhinox. I'm still not entirely sure if I'll get the Studio Series or the main line. But again, pretty hilarious scaling. I'm pretty sure there's birds as big as this Airazor. They probably hunt rhinos. So that's it for the size comparisons. And now, doing reverse transformation, as I mentioned before, remove these missiles. And again, the exact same transformation you can expect from the Studio Series Rise of the Beasts Airazor, with the only difference being that for that one it's a bit larger, and at the same time that one, I believe you don't have to remove the rockets. But apart from that, it's the exact same transformation as I mentioned before, which to me kind of detracts me from the Studio Series Airazor, because I got this figure again because of the Hyper Rise of the Beasts, although this is of course not a Rise of the Beasts Airazor. And that's why I'm not sure which one I'll get. Maybe I'll hunt for the mainline one, because if I already have this super awesome Airazor, and at the same time, if this is the exact same transformation from the Studio Series Airazor, then what's the point of buying that one? If I already have this one, which is very similar, I get that there's some people who have like tons of the same mold, because it's different characters, or because it's different variants of the same character, but I'm not one of those people. I'm sorry, I don't have as much money to spend on figures, so I can't really buy every single repaint or variant. And then let's add the rockets again. I'm sorry I had to do a slight cut because the camera fell down, so I'm sorry for that, but I want to be professional and just continue. And well, there's Airazor back in her robot mode. And overall, does this 2020 War for Cybertron Kingdom figure Airazor still hold up to this day? Yeah, I can definitely say that. This is a really well built Airazor. She feels very sturdy, and one moment I accidentally popped this centerpiece off, so yeah, but apart from that, and it's very easy to reattach. The figure feels very sturdy, the wings are pretty impressive, and I overall think this is a super awesome Airazor. I believe this is the last sort of Beast Wars inspired Airazor, and I'm pretty sure it will be for a long time, because with the success of the toy sale for Rise of the Beasts, a not so great box office, but a good toy sale, they mentioned that since it's been a success, I imagine that they'll continue doing Rise of the Beast toys for quite a while. Like, even now, just in 23, we can still see toys for the original Michael Bay movies. So, in that regard, I'm pretty sure this figure might become collectible later on. As I mentioned on the packaging, I got this figure for $10 on discount in the store. But I'm pretty sure as time passes and that store no longer has those figures and not everyone bought those, maybe these Beast Wars inspired figures will sell better. Because people now want Beast Wars inspired figures, since they'll probably stop making them because of the issues with the War for Cybertron Kingdom wave, and because of Rise of the Beasts bringing a new design. But overall, this is a pretty awesome Airazor. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this Airazor, and if you like this sort of older Transformer review. I don't have many other older Transformers, so don't expect any other War for Cybertron Kingdom figures from now to a long time. But that's it. Thanks for watching.